The Mafia has been a dark hidden force for centuries, cloaked in mystery and fear. Its rituals and signals are not just customs, they're symbols of power, control, and death. In this video, we'll uncover the most terrifying and secretive signals used by the Mafia to announce an impending kill. From subtle gestures to chilling encounters, each signal is a deadly warning, often missed until it's too late. Join us as we explore 10 Mafia signals that could be the last signs you'll see before they come for you. To start the list, we have the one-way ride with no return. One of the most notorious signs of an impending hit in the Mafia is the infamous one-way ride. For an outsider, it might look like a harmless road trip, but a ride with a senior mobster can spell doom for those familiar with the Mafia's inner workings. Let's take a drive. Simple words, but they hold deadly weight in the Mafia world. When a member is told to accompany another on a drive to an isolated location, the chances of return are slim. This practice is a stark reminder of how trust can be shattered instantly. What starts as an invitation to a retreat or getaway often becomes the last moments of a mobster's life. The locations are carefully chosen: desolate countryside, an abandoned building, or a remote beach. Here, the final betrayal occurs, often by someone they considered a friend or a trusted partner. In Mafia culture, the message is clear: a ride is never just a ride. If you find yourself heading to an unmarked destination, you won't be returning. The signal has been passed down for generations, becoming one of the most feared symbols within Mafia families. Number 2. The Inscribed Bullet. A bullet is a symbol of death, but when that bullet is inscribed with your name, it becomes a terrifying prelude to murder. This practice of marking bullets with a victim's name is not just an intimidation tactic, it's a direct signal that the person's fate is sealed. Originating in the Sicilian Mafia, inscribing a bullet with the target's name adds a personal touch to the threat. It's a message, clear and direct: you will be killed by this bullet. However, this method carries a dark irony. What if the bullet with your name on it takes someone else first? In the Mafia world, even the one inscribing the name is also in danger, as the marked bullet could be turned on them. They all know that a bullet inscribed with a name is a psychological weapon, creating fear and paranoia in the victim. The message is unavoidable: death is coming, and it's coming fast. Number 3. A fish wrapped in newspaper. The Mafia's dark tradition. Receiving a fish wrapped in newspaper at your doorstep is a classic Mafia signal. It might seem harmless to the uninitiated, but to those in the know, it's a deadly omen. The recipient is told they will soon sleep with the fishes. This dark tradition dates back to the Sicilian Mafia, where sending a dead fish signified the target's life would soon end, and their body would be discarded in a body of water. The newspaper often contained additional messages, making the threat even more personal. It was a clear message: cross us, and your body will disappear just like the fish. The fish symbolizes the cold, watery grave that awaits the victim, while the newspaper adds a layer of personal touch, enhancing fear and intimidation. This tactic continues to be one of the most ominous and unmistakable signals that a Mafia hit is inevitable. The recipient knows they're being marked for death, and those who sent the fish have already decided their fate. Number 4. Change in meeting location. Mobsters are meticulous planners. Every meeting is arranged with precision, and locations are chosen for security, privacy, and control. But when the meeting location is suddenly changed at the last minute, it's often a setup. Switching meeting locations might seem like a minor adjustment, but in Mafia terms, it's a trap. The new meeting place is often unfamiliar, giving the attackers an advantage. These last-minute changes often result in ambushes, leaving the mobster defenseless in an unsecure environment. The Mafia's code is clear: if the meeting place changes at the last moment, don't attend. It may be the last mistake you ever make. Number 5. The sudden withdrawal of security details. The relationship between a mob boss and his bodyguards is built on unwavering loyalty. So when these protectors disappear without explanation, the unspoken message is clear: someone is plotting your demise. One of the most chilling examples is the assassination of Paul Castellano in 1985. Known for his paranoia, Castellano was always heavily guarded. Yet, on the day he was shot dead outside Sparks Steakhouse, His bodyguards were mysteriously absent. The hit had been orchestrated from within his inner circle. In the Mafia world, protection can disappear as quickly as provided. When the guards are gone, it's a sure sign that your time is running out. At number 6, we have the Black Hand. The Mano Nera, or Black Hand, is perhaps one of the most famous symbols used by the Mafia, dating back to the early 1900s. This threatening symbol usually came as a letter, featuring a handprint or crude drawing of a black hand, often accompanied by demands for money or a threat of violence. Though widely associated with the Mafia, the Black Hand was particularly prevalent among Italian-American criminal groups in the United States during the early 20th century. It was used as a method of extortion, with a threat of violence hanging over anyone who dared refuse the demands of the criminals. The Black Hand was not just a threat, but a promise. Those who received such a letter understood that failure to comply would lead to severe consequences: kidnapping, brutal assaults, and even death. Receiving a letter marked with the symbol of the Black Hand meant that one's time was limited, and negotiations were not an option. There was no mistaking its intent: compliance or death. Number 7. Broken religious figurines. Religious symbols hold immense power in the Mafia, especially in deeply Catholic regions like Sicily and southern Italy. A religious statue or figurine is often a symbol of protection. When that symbol is shattered and sent to a mobster, it sends a chilling message: your protection is gone, and your enemies are closing in. The Mafia has long used religious imagery to manipulate power and fear. Breaking a religious figurine, such as a cross or saint statue, and sending it to a rival is a calculated move. It signifies that the target is now vulnerable, no longer under the protection of the divine or their allies. When a mobster receives such a grim token, they know their time is almost up. The shattered figurine symbolizes that their enemies have the upper hand, and death is coming. Number 8. The killing of a pet. The Mafia spares nothing, not even beloved pets, when delivering a message. Killing a mobster's pet is one of the most personal and heart-wrenching signals that a hit is imminent. For many, pets are a symbol of loyalty, love, and security. When the Mafia targets a pet, they're not just attacking the animal, they're striking at the emotional core of the victim's life. It's a brutal and effective warning, showing how easily the mob can get close and wreak havoc. One of the most iconic examples of this tactic is in The Godfather, where film producer Jack Woltz wakes up to find the severed head of his prized horse in his bed. The message is clear: comply or the next victim won't be your pet. This ruthless method instills deep fear. If the Mafia can kill your pet, they can just as easily kill you. It's an open declaration of their power and their readiness to strike. Number 9. Silence. In the Mafia, silence can speak louder than words. One of the most unnerving signals that someone is about to be eliminated is a phone call followed by complete silence. This act sends a message so chilling in its simplicity that it leaves the recipient frozen with fear. A silent phone call, particularly from someone in the Mafia, signals that their fate is sealed. There's no threats, no demands, just silence. The recipient knows their time is up, and nothing is left to discuss. It's a final warning before the inevitable. Many Mafia victims have described this experience as more terrifying than any physical threat. The call represents the final communication from the Mafia before they strike, leaving the recipient with nothing but fear and the knowledge that they're about to be killed. This technique has been used in numerous Mafia families throughout history, demonstrating the psychological power of fear and silence. It's a subtle but effective way to let someone know that they're being watched and their end is near. Number 10. The Kiss of Death. Perhaps the most famous sign of impending death in Mafia culture is the Bacio della Morte, the Kiss of Death. This gesture has become a symbol of betrayal, finality, and inevitable death, immortalized in movies and real-life Mafia history. The Kiss of Death is a public gesture, often delivered by a high-ranking member of the Mafia to a subordinate or rival who has fallen out of favor. It symbolizes the irrevocable decision that the recipient must die, and there is no turning back. The most iconic representation of this signal comes from the story of Michael Corleone in The Godfather Part 2, where he delivers the kiss of death to his brother Fredo, signifying that Fredo's betrayal will not go unpunished. But the kiss of death is not just a cinematic invention. In real life, it's been used by Mafia bosses to send a clear and public message. The recipient knows their fate has been sealed, and the kiss is a final, intimate act of betrayal. In the world of organized crime, the kiss of death is not just a signal, it's an execution sentence delivered with chilling certainty. Honorable mentions. Even though we said we'd focus on only 10 Mafia signs, this list will not be complete without some honorable mentions. First, we have the priest's last visit. In Mafia circles, faith and fear often walk hand in hand. An unexpected visit from a priest, especially one not summoned, is one of the most chilling signs that death is near. Throughout Mafia history, there's a complex relationship between crime and the Catholic Church. Particularly in Italy and Sicily, mobsters are known to maintain ties with priests, not just for spiritual guidance, but also to bolster their public image. However, when a priest arrives without warning, it's not a spiritual gesture, it's a warning to prepare for the end. This practice plays on the deep cultural reverence for faith in regions dominated by the Mafia. When a priest visits unannounced, it's a sign that you should start making peace with your God, because death is lurking just around the corner. Secondly, there's a bloody knife. Betrayal within the Mafia is perhaps the gravest sin one can commit. For those who break the Mafia's sacred oath, the consequences are swift and brutal. One of the most symbolic signals of an impending hit on an oathbreaker is the bloodied knife. This gruesome signal is sent as a warning to anyone who dares to betray the family. The knife represents the punishment that awaits the betrayer, and the blood is a promise of violence to come. It's a reminder that once you're in the Mafia, there's no escape. Betrayal is met with death, and there is no forgiveness. Throughout Mafia history, many have faced the bloodied knife after attempting to leave the organization or cooperate with law enforcement. Once the signal is sent, there's no turning back. The family will not rest until the betrayer is silenced and their blood is spilled. And that sums up this video on Mafia signs. The Mafia's secret signals are a dark language all their own, a twisted code of death, betrayal, and fear. Each gesture, each symbol, is more than just a warning. It's a promise of violence, a message written in blood. So remember, in the Mafia, nothing is ever what it seems, and the next signal could be your last.